What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Six Borough Sports Podcast. And I am extra pumped up today because we have finally reached March. It is the best time of year. We are 2 weeks away from filling out our brackets. Right now, we got conference tournaments starting up. I know the Sun Belt Conference gets started tomorrow. I can't wait to watch, man. I don't even care that it's just some obscure mid-major tournament. It is what this month is made for. And it's putting a screen in the corner of your laptop or your monitor and just having these no-name schools duke it out for a chance to be the next Cinderella. And it is why March Madness is just the best postseason tournament there is. There is no other sport which allows these no-name, no-power schools the opportunity to compete against some of the most prestigious, blue-blooded, and flat-out favorites to win. Only in March Madness can you see a 16 seed upset a 1 seed. Only in March Madness can you see a title favorite like Virginia fall to someone like a Furman or a St. Peter's take down a Purdue and a Kentucky. We are 2 weeks away from that getting started. 2 Thursdays from now, we are going to be watching the best sports day in the entire calendar year. And I don't really think it's particularly close. You guys know how I feel about hockey playoffs. I think that they're the close second to March Madness. And then October baseball at third. Then it's the NFL playoffs after baseball. Then we have NBA basketball in far and away dead last. But I want to open it up with a couple of the Big East performances from this past week. Seton Hall and UConn. You guys have heard me rant plenty of times about Seton Hall at this point. And I'm going to have a different one today. And it's the fact that I don't understand why this entire season they haven't been able to sustain what they are able to do against the UConn. If they could play defense the way that they played yesterday, consistently across Big East play, there's a good chance that we have like 3 to 4 losses total in Big East play at this point. And it's only losing to maybe St. John's and UConn twice. Seton Hall was making foul shots. They were hitting threes. At one point, they were shooting like 70% from beyond the arc, which I couldn't believe I was watching. They didn't even finish the game off terribly. It's just, I think Bud Clark was trying to make a play and they couldn't get the shots to fall. UConn went on that inevitable run with 7 minutes left and took it straight to Seton Hall. They were not going to allow Alex Caravan's senior day to be ruined by a team that was fighting for their tournament lives. You knew Dan Hurley was not going to allow that to happen. And credit to UConn. Like, they are a clear title favorite going into March. Sure, have they looked a little shaky against lesser competition in the Big East? Yeah, but do you know how hard it is to even go undefeated in conference play, especially with a basketball conference like the Big East? It's damn near impossible. UConn was never going to be perfect. Arizona was never going to be perfect. Houston was never going to be perfect. Duke was never going to be perfect. Why this tournament is going to be so special is because there are so many people with a chance to win. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. And back on Seton Hall, they have to win out the rest of the regular season. They have to beat St. John's on their senior day. And that's going to be a really tough task. It's basically going to be a St. John's home game in a Prudential Center that day. And it's going to suck because really, I think all we really have is Bud Clark as a senior that anyone's really going to care about. I wish he could come back next year. It's just not going to be the case. The Pirates did this to themselves, losing to Butler at home, losing to DePaul at home, losing to St. John's after blowing a 15-point lead, losing to UConn at home when we had them on the ropes, losing to UConn this weekend, losing to DePaul again, losing to Creighton after they fell apart down the stretch when they had the win basically in their hands. They had like a 98% chance of winning that game and they blew it. The Pirates have no one to blame but themselves for why they are going to be in the next 4 out 2 weeks from now. The only way that they avoid that is if they beat Xavier and St. John's this week, and then they beat UConn in the Big East tournament. They're going to play Creighton right now in what looks like the 4-5 matchup on Thursday. And then they're going to have to play UConn the next day because UConn is at the top of the bracket. And the old saying goes that it's tough to beat a team 3 times, and especially with the way Seton Hall has got up for these UConn games and given themselves a chance to win, you can't say that they don't have a chance. You can't say they don't. A couple balls fall Seton Hall's way on Saturday. They beat UConn in their own bar, but they didn't. And I just think if we get some March magic, we might have a chance. If Shaheen can channel whatever he did with St. Peter's back in 2022 for the Seton Hall team, because I truly think the Seton Hall team has a Sweet 16 ceiling. They have the potential from playing guys out of conference that don't know how hard and how good we defend. They have an opportunity to make it to a Sweet 16. But they did it to themselves in the fact that they lost too many winnable games that hurt their schedule. Sure, they won 20 games this year, but it's just not enough, especially in a down year for the Big East. I said it last week. Shaheen, let's put some focus on recruiting guys that can play defense and also don't make look offense so goddamn difficult next year. Because you're proving how good of a coach you are with doing what we're doing with this roster right now. 20 wins with this roster. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year? It certainly wasn't me. I was hoping we were going to finish 500, win 20 games. Maybe we're going to go and win the NIT again. That would be kind of fun, but do we really want that to be our thing? Winning the NIT every year? Playing in the college basketball crown tournament? Maybe we'll get a little bit of NIL money from winning that. It's fine, but I would much rather have an NCAA tournament win, even if we're playing in Dayton. I don't care. Just something to get the school more exposure. Because it desperately needs it. UConn, kudos to them. Again, they took care of business. They could have fallen apart down the stretch, especially with the way Seton Hall was just, every shot was falling. It seemed like no matter how good defense UConn played, Seton Hall just kept making shots over and over again. I was stuck. I could not believe what I was watching on Saturday, seeing how well Seton Hall was shooting the ball. It made no sense. But Alex Caravan, I know he's been here for 6 years, and it's about goddamn time he's graduating. He gives UConn a legitimate chance to win a national title. Again, he's been there twice before. He knows what it takes. He knows how to rally the guys on his team. Solo ball, Terrence Reed Jr. UConn is going to be so dangerous. I know they don't seem as dominant as UConn has in those 2 years where they did win a championship. But UConn is very much alive to upset some people and take home their 3rd ring in 4 years. If you don't believe that, you don't know college basketball. Speaking of people that are capable of making a run come March, St. John's took what they did against UConn, or what UConn did to them, I should say, in the middle of last week where they lost by 36 points, and they took it real personal. They went bell to ass on Kevin Willard's Villanova team last week. It was not close. Zuby Ejiofor was dominant. Darling, they seem to have the point guard situation figured out now. St. John's is very dangerous. I am not worried about what happened with UConn with them. That's a game that Rick Pitino is going to flush down the toilet. They do not have to worry. St. John's is a dangerous team coming March. I expect them to go to a Sweet 16. I expect them to possibly make it to the Elite Eight. I think that's their ceiling, but they're going to make some noise in 2 weeks when the actual tournament gets going. I don't think they have a chance to win the Big East tournament. I think they're going to come in second again. I think UConn is going to do what they did on Wednesday. As much of a home game as it's going to be for St. John's, it is going to be a 50-50 crowd for the UConn fans there too. MSG is known as Store South, especially come Big East tournament time. Ever since they joined the conference, it's been their arena. And St. John's getting Rick Pitino has really shifted the momentum there. But that is going to be your Big East tournament final. If it's not, I will eat my shoes. I don't know. It'd be really cool if Seton Hall could beat UConn and get into the Big East tournament final, because then we actually might get a tournament berth, but I don't foresee it happening. Baseball, we got some real baseball going on this week. Spencer Jones has been crushing it. He's 4 home runs right now. Again, it's making the Trent Grisham signing look so stupid. Every time Trent Grisham steps into the box and he doesn't do anything, and Spencer Jones is just hitting these moonshot nuclear bombs off his bat that are leaving the stadium, cracking windshields in the parking lot. Spencer Jones is the same age that Aaron Judge was when he got. I think Spencer Jones has earned a look, especially if Trent Grisham is going to do what I'm pretty confident he's going to do, and he's going to fully regress from what he did last year. I don't think Trent Grisham is capable of another 240 and 30 home run season. He might run into 20 home runs, but he's not going to be what he was last year. Granted, he has Aaron Judge still protecting him in a 2-hole. I just don't see it. I don't see a pathway for that happening. However, if Trent Grisham can figure out a way to go back to his Gold Glove center field defense, that would be pretty okay with me. I'm cool with that. And having Spencer Jones learn from him this spring training on how to actually play center field in Yankee Stadium, that might be some valuable stuff. But I still think Spencer Jones has definitely earned a look. He has to cut down on the strikeouts. We know that. That's the biggest talking point around, is that he has way too many holes in his approach that are leading to too many strikeouts. But if the Yankees can somehow develop him, if Spencer Jones can work with Aaron Judge on his approach at the plate, and I'm not expecting him to turn into a 330 or 60 home run hitting ball player who plays stellar defense in center field. That's unrealistic. That's flat out unrealistic. But I think Spencer Jones could easily turn into a 250 hitter that hits 35, 40 home runs a year without trying, especially with that short porch in right field in Yankee Stadium. Spencer Jones is made for Yankee Stadium. He is tailor-made for that. And the Yankees should be doing everything in their power to get him ready to take over center field, because it doesn't look like Jason Dominguez is capable of doing it. Jason Dominguez, what a surprise. Another overhyped prospect that is now going to be completely wasted away. We can't trade him away. His value has never been lower. And it goes back into this theme that the Yankees have a tough time developing their position players. We have Ben Rice and Aaron Judge to show for it over like the last 20 years. And I'm hoping that Spencer Jones can be the exception to this rule that we've been seeing, because it would be so big for the Yankees to have a bat like that homegrown again, especially with Giancarlo not knowing if he can even open a bag of chips or open a jar of pickles at this point. Who knows how much longer we actually have Giancarlo's bat in the lineup. We're going to need another big power bat, and Spencer Jones is the obvious homegrown replacement without us having to go out and sign a Kyle Schwarber or someone like that in a couple of years. The other person that the Yankees have made look really good in spring training so far, George Lombard Jr., the other top shortstop prospect. Anthony Volpe, I hope you are sweating right now, dude. I hope you are seeing the dazzling plays that George Lombard is making in the field right now, because he's making you look silly. His bat is kind of there. He still has a ways to go with his bat, but he is clearly far and away a better defender than Anthony Volpe. He could come up and win a Gold Glove right now. It's just the fact that his bat is lagging behind. But if Anthony Volpe is going to continue to play a horrible shortstop and barely be at league average not even less than league average. I'm giving Anthony Volpe too much credit. I would rather take the Gold Glove defense at shortstop and the subpar bat rather than a subpar glove and a subpar bat just because you grew up in New Jersey. This is your final chance, Anthony Volpe. When you are coming back from injury in May, this is it. You have been given way too much leash and not enough reprimanding, I guess is the word that we call it. You have been allowed to fail way too often without any repercussions. I get it that they don't want to shake your confidence by benching you when you're going through it, but at some point, we need to have some standards. Say, if you can't do it, Jose Caballero can. And that's exactly where Jose Caballero is going to start the year, at shortstop, because he was more than capable of it while you were injured last year. And he probably played a better shortstop than you did last year. We might also be having Ryan McMahon playing shortstop at this point as an emergency shortstop, which I think is fine. I think is so good because he's clearly a capable defender. Obviously, shortstop is a different position than third base. He has to have way more range. And I'm not worried about his arm strength at all. It's just, is he going to be able to get to those balls in the hole that Anthony Volpe already can't get to? And Ryan McMahon's bat has also looked pretty good this spring. He seems to be putting the ball in all fields. If we can get his average to 250, around 250 instead of 200, raising his batting average an extra 20 points is going to be so invaluable to this Yankees team. It really does give the Yankees another added layer, especially if he's going to be consistent about his batting average, if it's going to be that high. Going into the season, we can say that, yeah, there are differences from last year's team. We have the third base situation under control. We have a proven reliever and closer in David Bednar. We have a couple flame-throwing prospects that are just lighting up the radar guns in Tampa right now. It is so fun to watch these guys like Carlos Grange throwing 102, 103 miles an hour with ease. We have Cam Schlittler for the whole year. Garrett Cole is going to come back in May. Carlos Rodon at the end of April. I know I've been hard on the Yankees this offseason. I'm pissed at Brian Cashman, and Aaron Judge is pissed at Brian Cashman for not doing enough. Cody Bellinger should not have been the bare minimum, plus a couple marginal guys on the side. We should have been going and swinging for broke at this point because we don't have much time with Aaron Judge in his prime left. But this team is definitely better than the one that we saw all of last year. The defensive lapses, I don't think are going to happen because we have we have one of the best defensive infields in baseball if Ben Rice has been working on picking balls the entire offseason. And even if that's not the case, we also have Paul Goldschmidt, who is just as good when he's going to come in and bat against lefties. I still would like to see Ben Rice get some run against lefty pitching because I would like to be able to see him be able to hit against both sides of the plate. But Paul Goldschmidt is a good insurance policy. I know I was ragging on it a little bit, but when you do take a look at the bigger picture of things, Paul Goldschmidt is a good platoon bat and a great mentor for Ben Rice, who I think is primed to be a top first baseman in this league this year. There is a good chance he comes out and hits 280 with 40 home runs, and the entire baseball world is going to be surprised. Everyone except Yankee fans will be surprised about this because we all know how good Ben Rice is. His hard hit percentile is in like 99th. It's like it's him and Aaron Judge and Giancarlo are in like the 99th percentile in terms of hard hit rate, and his BABIP is in like the 98th percentile, and how unlucky he got last year. He was smoking the ball. It just happened to be right at someone every single time last year. He was the unluckiest hitter in baseball, and he still had a great season. I think we're on the verge of a Ben Rice true coming of age, and that is also going to be so dynamic for this lineup. Currently constructed, the Yankees could go toe-to-toe with the Blue Jays for the best team in the American League. I still think in a 7-game series, it's a toss-up, probably favoring the Blue Jays 60-40 just because the Blue Jays have been there more recently than the Yankees have. I know it was only a year difference. Excuse me. But everyone in that Blue Jays lineup hit the entire playoffs. There was not an easy out. They were all pests. The Yankees need to get to that type of formula. And I think them going out and giving themselves the opportunity to win the division outright instead of them blowing games left and right because Devin Williams can't get out of his own way, because we're going to be going through the inevitable June and July swoons where they look like they've never played baseball before. I think this year is the one year where we see this team finally say, we're not going to be throwing these games away anymore. We're not treating these games in the summer like throwaway games, and we're not going to be punting them. And that really makes me nervous to say, because come in June, when they've lost 10 out of their last 15, and I'm on here screaming and banging the desk and I'm going to be irate, this team is fully capable of winning 100 games, winning the American League East outright, not having to come down to a tiebreaker, relying on the Rays to beat the Blue Jays last series of the year to get the Yankees into first place. You're not going to have to rely on them to do that. We should be able to do it our goddamn selves. On the Mets side of things, Nolan McLean has looked pretty freaking good. Mets top pitching prospect. He has thrown some, I think, 4 or 5 scoreless innings. His fastball touching upper 90s. He is going to be an important part of the Mets rotation this year if they feel that he is ready. However, I have to address something, because I've been seeing this going around the internet, whether it be on WFAN or John Boy. I don't know. They're just... Do Met fans ever learn? Like, truly? This is always going to be a Yankees town. The talk of you having a better team than the Yankees because you got Luis Robert and Bo Bichette and Freddie Peralta. I'm sorry, that's not enough. You traded away the absolute heart and souls of your team. You gutted this team and bringing back completely new players instead of Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo, who I would have argued are way, way more important to you as a franchise. You're trading away your de facto captain, who gave you one of the most memorable postseason home runs in recent memory in Milwaukee when you guys staved off elimination. But you guys are not on the same level as the Yankees. You have us beat at shortstop. You probably have us beat at DH. Juan Soto is playing left field now, so who knows how he's going to do with that. Sure, he's probably going to run into 45 home runs this year. Bat 270. I'm not doubting Juan Soto's talent behind the plate at all. But I'm still taking Aaron Judge over him every single day of the week. I'm still taking Garrett Cole at 75% over Freddie Peralta 9 times out of 10. I'm still taking Carlos Rodon over Nolan McLean 9 times out of 10. I'm still taking Cam Schlittler over Clay Holmes 9 times out of 10. I'm still taking Luis Gil over whoever their 4th or 5th starter. If it's Jose Quintana, I don't even know if he's even on the team anymore. 9 times out of 10. The Yankees might have the best rotation in baseball once Rodon and Cole get back. You guys don't have us there. You have one top-of-the-line starter. Your lineup just isn't as good. You have Francisco Lindor, you have Juan Soto, you have Luis Robert, and you have Bo Bichette. Yankees, I know, leadoff hitter Trent Grisham, not happy about it. I'm hoping that can go to Jazz midway through the season and Jazz cut down on the strikeouts. Jazz, or Trent Grisham, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Ben Rice, Ryan McMahon, who is poised for a good year. You have Austin Wells, who is looking really good in spring training right now. He's a great catcher behind the dish. If you can figure out his bat, he's going to be fine. You have Paul Goldschmidt as a platoon bat. You have Cody Bellinger. The Yankees lineup is just head and shoulders above the Mets the entire way. Juan Soto is the only arguable person like that you might have a better second bat. I am not worried about the Mets. You don't have a bullpen. Devin Williams, watching him give up a 420-foot bomb, his first batter of the game the other day, in his first appearance in spring training. Have fun with that this year, Mets fans. Because I'm glad as hell that dude isn't in pinstripes anymore. I'm pissed as hell we changed the beard rule for him because he's a fucking loser. But the Yankees bullpen is so much better now. The starting rotation is so much better. But you guys fool yourselves every single year into thinking that you're going to take over New York and it's going to be a Mets town. And it never will be. It never will be. Every year this thing happens. You guys start the season, you win a couple of games, you run your mouths, and then, oh wait, you guys forget that you're the Mets. And then you completely shit down your legs for the rest of the season. Are we forgetting about the collapse you had last year with Juan Soto on the team, with Francisco Lindor on the team? Like, that doesn't go away. I'm willing to wager just about anything at this point that the Yankees finish a better record regular season-wise than the Mets do. Straight up. I don't think it's going to be close. If the Mets have a better record at the end of the regular season than the Yankees do, I will do a naked paintball run across a football field, getting pelted with paintballs the whole way. And I will upload that for everyone to see. You guys can see my naked ass getting shot up with paintballs. But it's not going to happen. I wish I could do it for the content. I'd go viral like crazy, man. That would go and do numbers. But it's not going to happen. I'm not just going to do it for fun. I want the Mets to make me do it, but they're not going to because they're not good enough. However, we do have one thing that we can come together on, and that's the World Baseball Classic. We're seeing exhibition games this week. We're starting to see some of the teams come in and play a lot of the actual rosters of major league teams. And then next week, we're actually going to get the round robin round started. And Team USA is completely stacked. Like Tariq Skubal, Paul Skeens, Mason Miller, Logan Webb, David Bednar, Cal Raleigh, Bobby Witt Jr., Bryce Harper, Byron Buxton, Aaron freaking Judge, Pete Crow Armstrong, Kyle Schwarber. This team isn't going to lose. They are not losing to Japan again. I promise you it's not going to happen. Their lineup is so deep. They might have a problem with the pitching staff because apparently Tariq Skubal and Paul Skeens are saying that they aren't going to be pitching at the top form that they can towards the end of spring, which I respect because you do not want to jeopardize throwing your arm out in the end of March. I get it. But this Team USA team on paper is so much better than any other team in the tournament, and I don't think it's close. Japan, yeah, you have Ohtani. You have Murakami. You have Akamoto. You have Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You guys are going to be good, but I'm not expecting it to be the same team from a couple years ago with Shohei Ohtani coming in and throwing 100 and striking out Mike Trout to end the game. It's not going to happen. Team USA is going to win. And when they do, I just have one quick thing that I would like to say. Please do not let Kash Patel anywhere near the locker room. Even in the stadium, do not let him in. That guy has plenty more to deal with at the moment. We do not need to see this guy celebrating with another Team USA in embarrassing fashion and in causing another controversy. We do not need that happening. So Kash Patel, kindly stay the fuck out of Miami or San Diego or wherever the baseball classic final is going to be played. We don't want you there. Okay? Just go away, please. And this leads me into my next point about just like shitty things ruining things that should be good. If you guys haven't seen what's going on with Fanatics by now, you really should. If you were hoping to purchase a World Baseball Classic jersey, let's just say someone like Aaron Judge is your favorite player, like me, and you wanted to rep a Aaron Judge Team USA jersey. If you want to fork over $420 for an authentic Fanatics Nike jersey that is probably ironed on, not even stitched, be my guest. Remember when Majestic was the jersey provider for the MLB? Authentic jerseys at most were like $200. Now Michael Rubin comes in. He has this monopoly on sports apparel. And he is saying, I am going to seriously charge you guys $420 for an Aaron Judge Team USA jersey. Call up your favorite Chinese DH whatever broker for jerseys and order off of them. You can probably get a better quality jersey because we all know Fanatics is terrible quality. It's not going to come out looking nice. Go to your favorite Chinese bootleg dealer of baseball jerseys, and I guarantee you, you're probably going to pay $60 for the same jersey that looks just as good, if not better. And the crux of this whole thing is you'll probably get the Chinese jersey even sooner than the one from Fanatics. Because the Fanatics jerseys aren't shipping until the end of April. The World Baseball Classic ends on March 17th. You can't even get these jerseys in time to watch any of these games. That is how piss poor of a job that Fanatics has done with this. And it's just a microcosm of everything they've done as a company as a whole. Poor quality, completely overpriced merchandise, terrible customer service. And they have the monopoly over everything. They bought Mitchell and Ness and ruined Mitchell and Ness also. Everything that now looks like it's a throwback jersey, it's just, you can tell it's a terrible Mitchell and Ness product. That used to be cool. I remember in high school, Mitchell and Ness used to be the shit. Now it's like if you have anything Mitchell and Ness, it's like, well, yeah, you just got that off of Fanatics. Like it's not that cool of a piece of clothing anymore. It's not worth buying from them. It's really not. Michael Rubin is a crook, charging you $420 for a jersey that won't even ship 2 months after the World Baseball Classic ends. I encourage you to shop anywhere else for your Team USA merch for the World Baseball Classic. Because Fanatics is once again pulling this bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, the Devils and Rangers were back in action this past week, and it wasn't very fun to watch outside of Jack Hughes getting that standing ovation at the first game back at the Prudential Center where he's talking about how much he loves USA and how much he loves playing for New Jersey and being a representative of our great state. The Devils came out and they played so flat. Tage Thompson scoring was kind of cool. It was like a nod to Jack bringing him out in the beginning of the game, and Tage didn't even think that was going to happen. The Devils season's over. They're going to be offloading assets at the deadline if they even can. If there's anyone on the roster that doesn't have a no movement clause, think Brendan Dillon and Jonas Siegenthaler might be the only two guys that don't have no movement clauses. I think Dawson Mercer is a candidate to be traded because he has been incredibly disappointing these last couple of years. Ever since 2022, 2023, he has taken a step back every single year. Dougie Hamilton, there have been lots of whispers about him waiving his no move clause to go to a playoff contender, and I really hope he does because the Devils can use the cap space. But the worst part of this is that Tom Fitzgerald is going to be the one that's overseeing all of this. If any of you pay attention to the Devils beat writers, you saw Ryan Novozinski basically going scorched earth on the Devils organization at this point, because Tom Fitzgerald should have been fired after the Devils lost to the Islanders 9-0. And since they clearly don't have standards. Going into the offseason and reevaluating and allowing Tom Fitzgerald to make these moves at the trade deadline isn't an indication that ownership is unhappy. In fact, it means that ownership is perfectly content with where they are. And I think it's because we have fully paid for season tickets at this point. I'm encouraging fans to not go to these games for the rest of the season because it's going to be the only way that we know for certain that Tom Fitzgerald and Sheldon Keefe are going to be fired at the end of the year. When ownership looks and sees empty seats, if they even care, that's the one way we can say, yeah, we're not dealing with this bullshit anymore. So please don't go. Watch on TV, do whatever, but just save yourself the money, save yourself the embarrassment, because this team still looks like it doesn't know how to play in an NHL offense in 2020. They are basically in the bottom three in terms of all offensive categories this year. It is not the Devils hockey that we should have been getting for the last 2-3 years, especially coming off of how we looked in 2023. And the Rangers are in a very similar situation, but they've at least committed to selling everyone off. I don't think Vincent Trocheck is going to be a Ranger at the end of this week. There's a good chance that Braden Schneider is traded if someone is willing to give the Rangers a first-round pick minimum. Sam Carrick is probably getting traded. Maybe even Alexis Lafreniere. Probably someone that the Rangers are looking to explore trading. And it's a similar situation as a Rangers fan. I don't know how you guys can justify going to games when Chris Drury has failed epically at his job. You don't have any forward prospects. You don't have any defensive prospects. Igor Shesterkin is just about the only dude that you have developed in the last couple of years. And it's probably because he played most of his time in the KHL before he came over to North America. Are you really cool with Chris Drury trading off your expiring contracts and retooling this team for another rebuild? It doesn't seem like James Dolan has any plans on firing him anytime soon. So we're both in a similar boat. We have to sit here. We have to lick our wounds. I know we hate each other, but this year at least we can relish in the fact that we're both terrible. And then we just have to stare at those guys in UBS Arena that are lighting the world on fire, that had a generational defensive prospect fall into their laps in the first overall pick. And now the Islanders look like they're going to be dangerous for a very long time. And we're just stuck here like, what the hell did we do wrong? What happened to us? We were supposed to be so much more relevant at this point. And the Islanders are just somehow going to be New York's team now. If I have to hear Tommy Lugauer talk about how this is an Islanders town now, like, dude, I think the Islanders could win the next 5 Stanley Cups. They could go on another 4-peat, and no one in New York City would care. Truthfully. Like, no one would care. Would it suck seeing the Islanders win? Sure. But it's they're like the Devils. Like at least the Devils, like they have like a true following. It's like when I talk to an Islanders fan, I'm like, oh, "Are you sure? Like you're really an Islanders fan? Like, you know?" And now we're stuck here, just like how the hell did this happen? Getting into the NBA action, Knicks had a really good win against the Spurs. It looked like the Knicks were gonna have their shit pushed in to start the game. But then it got to the second half, and my God, like the Knicks just didn't let up defensively. Mikal Bridges was incredible today. He couldn't miss from beyond the arc. Mohamed Diawara had 14 points off the bench. Jalen Brunson was great. Cat played great. The defense showed up today. They consistently need to play like that. If their defense can do that against every team they play, they can beat anybody any day of the week. They don't have to worry about Detroit. Bringing up Tommy Lugauer, he did say something pretty today. The Knicks don't have anything to prove against the Pacers. I'm sorry, the Pistons. The Pistons have everything to prove against the Knicks. It was the Knicks that beat Detroit last year in the playoffs. And that's why the Pistons have tried so hard in those games against the Knicks and have come out there looking for blood and looking to embarrass the Knicks. They're trying to intimidate the Knicks. And I honestly think the Knicks, at this point, they just can't be bothered. They're like, okay, you're going to go all out like this? Like, it's not worth it. We will see you in the playoffs, and then we'll really have at it. Waste all your energy in the regular season. We all know how the NBA regular season goes. It doesn't matter. Get into the playoffs, play who you play. Turn it on in the playoffs. It's what all the players do. Knicks do have their next couple games are going to be tough. They have Denver, or they actually have OKC at MSG this week, and then they go to Denver for a West Coast road trip. They play the Clippers and then the Lakers. I think Golden State. So they're not going to have a cakewalk, but they have games that they need to take care of coming up. Jets fans, how are we feeling about the Jermaine Johnson and Tavondre Sweat trade? Because right now, I think this is a really good move. Yeah, Tavondre Sweat is not Quinnen Williams. But from everything I'm reading on Twitter, on these blog posts, it seems like Titans fans are not happy about this trade. And granted, Titans weren't exactly the best defense in the world last year, but they were more competent than we gave them credit for. So I think this has the opportunity to really work out in the Jets' favor, and that's not something you can ever say often. I don't know too much about Tavondre Sweat. I really didn't watch him while he was in Tennessee, but again, if all these Titan fans seem upset about it, I think it's worth paying attention to. Thank you for your service, Jermaine Johnson, but it's you clearly weren't part of the solution last year. And everyone needs to lay off Aaron Glenn. He was not sleeping at the combine. He was clearly looking at an iPad or something. It was just a bad camera angle. Any other coach of any other team, and it's a non-story, but because it's the Jets, they obviously have to run with it and make him look like he's falling asleep. Let's just chill out. As funny as that graphic and that camera shot was, we all know he wasn't actually sleeping. Let's just calm down. But other than that, yeah, guys, I don't have too much more to talk about this week. It's pretty light on sports. In the coming weeks, we're going to have a lot more steam picking up. Baseball is going to get into this World Classic like really heavy. We're having March Madness, like we talked about, the home stretch for the Knicks and where they're going to be seeded in the playoffs. We have one of the best sports time periods of the year in the next 2 months. That time from late April through Memorial Day is just the best between NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs. We're having the end of the March Madness and Final Four. Baseball's in full swing again. I went outside yesterday in shorts and a t-shirt, and it was so nice. Like I wasn't freezing my ass off. Spring is finally here. Like we're finally thawing out from one of the worst winters we've had in a long time. Like this has been miserable. And we've finally made it, guys. The sun is setting at 7 p.m. starting on Saturday. We've made it. We're on the other side. There's hope. Better days are ahead. The weather is getting better. There's more sunlight. We're going to be able to get tan again. And we're going to have some of the best sports being played and the best tournaments being played coming ASAP. Get hyped. The draft is around the corner too. Like, we are so close to just almost October levels of sports. We just need a little more time, and we're right there. All right, guys. I'm going to do it for today, or that'll do it for today. I will see you all next week. We're going to have a much bigger primer in terms of the Big East tournament, in terms of the Big Ten tournament, how those are going to be stacking up. Next week is when we really get into gear. Conference tournament week is the best week in sports outside of Feast Week. It's going to be nonstop basketball all day long, and you need to be hyped up for it. If you're not, I don't know why you're even listening to me. But until then, peace, love. See you next week.